Even with all of the fond memories I have of various consoles and console games that I played when I was a kid, I hold an equally soft spot in my heart for PC games of the early to mid-90s. My dad's job provided him with an excuse to own computers that were state-of-the-art for the time at least, and gave him an environment in which he could easily obtain shareware games. Shareware, for anyone unaware, is the practice of legally distributing a designated section of a game in the hopes of enticing you to the point where you want to buy the whole thing. It fell out of favor in the late 90s and was mostly used by PC publishers of the time like id, Apogee, and Epic Mega Games back before they turned every video game brown for a few years. I have exceedingly fond memories of most of these games, even if I only ever had access to the first third of them, and every time I tried to quit the game I'd be assaulted with a series of "Buy Me Now" screens. Games like Hocus Pocus, Duke Nukem 1 and 2, and One Must Fall stand out to me as both my earliest PC gaming memories and some of my fondest gaming memories in general. And yet there was one that eluded me. I had memories of playing a PC game around this time, but all I could remember was that it had a world map, a goofier plot than usual, and you might have played as a large man without sleeves on his shirt. I didn't think too much about it until its name was brought up in a Nintendo Age thread discussing old PC games, and it was that day I learned the name of my mystery game. Xargon! Yes, Xargon, because of course it would be some bullshit made-up word starting with X. It was the 90s. My research into Xargon didn't tell me much thanks to its comically limited internet presence. It was made in 1993 by a man named Alan Pilgrim and released by Epic Mega Games. It was later re-released as freeware by its creator in 2008, and not much else. Clearly, the internet didn't remember this game either, so after my diligent 20 whole minutes of research, I leapt into action to find a playable copy. Mercy of mercies, I found a website whose name I'm not comfortable sharing that deals in the moral gray area of quote-unquote abandonware, which has a bunch of old DOS games playable right in your browser. And thank God, because historically I've been too goddamn stupid to use DOSBox unless Good Old Games is there to do it for me. So this means I actually got to play Xargon, which was nice enough. It was just like I remembered. There was a world map, I was a beefy dude in a muscle tee with the inexplicable ability to shoot lasers, and the plot was pretty banal and goofy. Other than that, though, I guess I don't really have much to say. Xargon puts you in the shoes of Malvinius Haversham, a name nobody has ever had ever, who is an archaeologist that's been sucked into a parallel dimension and tasked with stopping an evil overlord named, of course, Xargon, who has vague and evil plans involving mystical artifacts, and amulets, and robots. Sounds okay so far, right? And that's really the best word for Xargon. Okay. The music is decently catchy, and the sound effects are clearly pulled from a sound library, which is oddly charming. The graphics occupy that fun VGA computer game space between 8 and 16-bit, and it's basically fun, basically. You're running, you're jumping, there's monsters and spike pits. And oh yeah, it's kind of hard for kind of bullshit reasons. Malvinius's hitbox kinda sucks, so you take a lot of damage simply by just being too close to things, and there's no goddamn mercy invincibility, so when you get hit, you can get hit again basically immediately afterwards. That's never fun, and there's never any goddamn reason for it. Your slow-moving and wonky laser kind of compounds things by making it hard to quickly target an enemy, and you know what, while I'm thinking about it, I'm curious to know just how he got a laser. Duke Nukem is at least drawn holding a blaster rifle. Malvinius's lasers just sort of come out of him, somewhere between his chest and his dong. Look, I'm clearly overthinking both the laser thing and this entire game. Xargon is really one of the best video game examples I can think of being totally okay. It's not great, it's not awful, it sets out to accomplish a very modest number of goals and basically does pretty well at most of them. I don't at all regret the time I spent with it, and I probably would have liked it well enough as a kid had I played it more at the time, even if I sincerely doubt I'd have ever finished it. But I come here today not to bury Xargon, and yes, I know that isn't how the quote goes. I guess I'm just happy that the internet has allowed me to find this largely forgotten and largely unimportant game from my youth, if for no other reason than to know it exists. Isn't that really what the internet is all about? Don't answer that. For Video-Tron 2000, this has been Tim. If you've got any other suggestions for forgotten DOS games for me to make a snide video about, I'd be happy to hear them, especially if it's something I've never heard of or played before. Catch you on the flip-flop.